Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, everyone. This is video number 8 today, inshallah, that we're going to be discussing a new set of rules. There's different parts to this, or I should say different types of mud. But today what we're going to do is, first of all, explain what is mud, and then what are the types of mud and what does mud mean actually, and the different types that we have, and then we'll just have everything on the board, inshallah, and then we'll go back one by one. We will explain, or I will explain each category, each rule, what it is, how do we recognize it, how do we recite it when we come across these mud. Mud is a singular term, so when we have more than one, so the word becomes madud. So just to kind of keep that in mind, because sometimes I use these madud, and then you might wondering like, what is she talking about? So it's mud. All right. Excuse me. So the first thing today we're going to be talking about is mud. Okay, this is al-mad. So this basically, it means that we have to prolong, or we have to stretch a certain area when we're reciting in the Quran. So what does that mean? Okay, so we have three, actually, we have more than that. So this means, I'll just go ahead and write that. So it means to prolong or stretch the sound. So when we're, this will make sense when we give the examples, inshallah. So for now, just kind of follow along. So this is when we're stretching or prolonging the sound, okay? And this goes anywhere from 2 counts all the way to 6 counts, meaning that we hold and we stretch it from 2 all the way to 6, depending on different type of mud that we're going to be talking about, inshallah. All right, so another thing that we need to notice is there are 3 letters that associates with huruf maddiya, meaning the letters of mud. And these are letters that we need to know them, like, inshallah, very well. So the letters are alif, waw, and ya. These are the 3 letters of maddiya: alif, waw, and ya. So anytime when we come across these letters, there's going to be a situation where the harakat before it is going to tell us that we have to pronounce this certain way. Okay, so before, let me see. Yeah, so we want to go ahead and talk about the different types of mud. I'm going to put this over here, trying to use different colors so we can keep it separate, inshallah. All right. And then I'm going to come back and talk about the first mud that we have. Okay, so the first one we have is, I'll just number it. It's mud asli or tabi'i. Okay, and I'll explain each one what they mean, inshallah. So the second one we have is mad al-badal. Third we have is mad iwad. Iwad. Fourth we have is mad arid lis-sukun. للسكون. Next one is Madeline. You know what? This is, I should write it separate. Al-Lean, Madeline. Okay, and then we have, let's see if I can fit everything in here. 6. We have Mad al-Muttasil. Al-Muttasil wajib. And then we have, where should I write this? Because we need 2 more. If I can. Write this a little bit smaller. Sukun. And then let's write this one a little bit smaller so we have more space here. Wajib. Okay. And then we have 7. We have Mad Munfasil. Al-Munfasil Jaiz. And then 8, we have Mad Lazim. Mad Lazim. Okay. So we have, mashallah, we have 8 different categories of mad, mudud, right? So these are different types of stretching when we come to certain parts of the Quran. So I just wanted to give like a broader scope of, it's going to take us a few sessions to, inshallah, cover each one of these categories, rules, and give examples so we can understand better, inshallah. So this was the broader picture that we're going to be going one by one, and then we're going to be talking about each one of them. So let's just give you the meaning for each one as to what they mean, and then I'm going to erase the board. We can come back, and then we're going to tackle the first one, which is the basic mud. Okay, mud asli. Asli means like the real one, the basic. That's your basic mud. Okay, so that is your basic mud. Mad al-badal, meaning badal means to change. Something happens and it changes. Okay. Mad al-iwad is also, it means like a substitute. You're substituting something, so there's like a change. It's a substitution. Mad arid lis-sukun. Arid means you as a reciter. It's your intent. Basically, your wish, your will. And then lis-sukun means with sukun. Sukun is like meaning like you stop. In the this usually comes, the reason it says sukun is because this usually comes at the end of the ayah. So when we read it, we stop. And anytime we stop in the Quran, it doesn't matter if you're reciting in the middle of the Quran and you want to, your phone is ringing, whatever. So you want to stop somewhere where it's just, you want to stop with sukun. You can't just say, like, for example, like if you're reading alladhina, and then, sometimes it's hard to do that, but we want to stop always with the sukun. So like instead of alladhina and you're stopping to go do something. So we don't want to do that. We want to stop at alladhin, right? And then because I didn't give it the fatha on the noon, I didn't say alladhina and then stop. So it's alladhin noon sukun. So here, that's what it means, that when we're coming at the end of an ayah, it is, we have to stop with sukun, obviously, but this area, it depends on our will and desire and our wish as to, we have a choice of different mud stretching, so whether we want to stretch it 2 counts, 4 counts, 5, whatever. So but up until like no more than 6, no more than 5. So this is just basically what that means. Inshallah, it becomes more easy when we have examples up here on the board, and then you can actually see what I'm talking about, because right now it's a little bit, you might be like, nah, I don't get it. Okay, but it's not to worry. All right, this one, the number 5 says madalin. These are letters, madiyya, that we have to be careful when we come across these, like wow and yeah. So meaning that these are letters that if we don't pay attention to it, we don't give the proper space for it, we will skip over them real quickly. So that's that kind of mud. So we have to like pay attention to that. Yeah. All right. And then we have number 6, we have mad al-muttasil wajib. Muttasil meaning that is connected, or it's in one word. One word. It's in one word. The mud is in one word, and it's wajib, meaning that it's must. Definitely must, should. Okay. For stretching. Right now, I'm just giving you the meaning of the terminology here, what each one kind of means, and then later on we're gonna, inshallah, focus more in detail. The 7th one is mad al munfasil jaiz. So this is also munfasil, meaning it's separated, and it's like 2 words. It's in 2 words. So the mud is in 2 words. I can just put 2 words, like they're in 2 separate words. And then the last category is mad lazim. Lazim, it's a must. Definitely, it's a must. And then this is a whole different category, that within this mad lazim we have a little bit of other categories that we will explain, inshallah, in further detail. It's not a lot, but it's just, there's a few other that falls under that category. All right, so inshallah, this was just precursors to what we are getting ready to cover. So let's just go ahead and review once again. Al-mad, meaning something that we have to prolong or stretch. Al-mudud is the plural version of it. Meaning there's more than one. And the mad, it consists of 2 to 6 stretching, meaning that we hold for that many counts or beats. There are different types. We have 8 different types of mud. We have the first one is mad asli or mad tabi'i, meaning you hear it both ways. Sometimes people say asli, people might say tabi'i. Tabi'i means like the natural, or the normal, the natural way. Asli means like the real, the basic one. So it's just how you translate it. The second one is mad al-badal, meaning this is a mad that something changes, and then the stretching happens. Mad iwad, this also means we're substituting something for the mad. Mad arid lisukun, this means that a mad that it comes at the end of the ayah. When we stop on it, we have an option of how many harakat we want to stretch it. Madalin are the waw and ya letters, so we have to be careful when we come across these in certain areas when we recite it, that if we don't give it the space, we might like quickly go over it and then we'll miss the mud. So those are the lean. That means it's like it's light. It's very you have to pay attention to that. Sixth one, we have a mad muttasil wajib. This is the type of mad that it's in one word, and it's wajib, meaning we must, it's necessary, we must stretch it for however many counts that we have. Now, keep in mind, all of these have different counts that we're going to be stretching for. Right now, that's not the focus, but I just want to put everything down here first. The seventh one is mad munfasil jaiz. This is also the mad that we have. It's in separated. It's in two separate words that is next to each other, but in two separate words. This one muttasil, it's in one word. Munfasil is like the word fasila, so there's like a fasila between it, meaning they're separated into two separate words. And it's jaiz, and it's you should. It's recommended. You should stretch it for whatever how many beats it's recommended that we should stretch. And then the eighth category is mad lazim. This is the type of mad that we must. It's lazim. It's necessary that we have to stretch. Okay. All right, inshallah. So I will go ahead and clean the board and come back, and then we will talk about our first mud. All right. So let's give some examples of how we recognize where there's a mud. Okay. So remember we talked about alif, waw, and ya. These are the huruf maddiya, meaning these are the mad letters. So like example, anytime alif comes with a fatha and waw comes with a dhamma, and then ya appears with a kasra. And these are the situations that we have to stretch them. Okay, so I'll give the examples and words. For the first one, for the alif, we have in the word bihijara. 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 Okay, so how do we know that? Where's the mud? So here, jim alif. So we have the alif here. This is our mud letter. And then here is the fatha. So this is telling us that there's the alif and there's the fatha, and then we have to stretch this with 2 counts. So how we read this as bihijara, bihijara, jara. We stretch it for 2 counts. Okay. Now, let's give an example for the waw, such as an example in the word, excuse me. Okay. So here we have the letter waw, which is a maddiya letter. And then right before it, there's our dhamma. So now we know that we have to stretch this for 2 counts. So we read it as ju', ju'. We're stretching this 2 beats. We're stretching the alif 2 beats, right? All right, and then now we will give an example for the ya. Okay. So here's our ya, this letter right here. And there's the kasra. Always know that ya goes with the kasra. It just goes like that. All right. So how we're reading this, dinukum, dinukum, right? We're stretching the ya 2 counts. Dinukum, dinukum, ju' bihijarata, bihijarata. Actually, when we stop on it, this becomes a hamsi sound. Bihijara, right? Unless there's something on it and it continues with the next word, then we pronounce the ta. Otherwise, if we stop on it, it becomes hijara. Okay, So these are how we can identify where are the maddiya letters. In these situations, you will find them always. Alif, there's going to be a fatha before it. Wow, there's going to be a dhamma before it. And yeah, there's going to be a kasra before it. Okay? So now, inshallah, let's talk about mad asli. Let me just clean the board. I'll be right back. All right. So now let's just give an example of, excuse me, of each. For mad tabi'i or mad asli. Mad asli. This is our first mud that we're covering, inshallah. Meaning, let's just give the meaning also. Mad asli meaning the regular mud or the basic mud. Basic mud. Mud meaning stretching. Okay. So let's give an example for, in this situation, the mad asli, like I said earlier, we stretch this for two beats. We stretch mad asli for 2 beats. We hold it for 2 counts. Okay. Example given in the word I'm going to write all of them and then we'll just read it, inshallah. Okay. Now let's highlight where our mud is. Here's the mud letter, which is waw. There's dhamma on top of it. Here is our ya. There's kasra before it. And here is our alif. And there's fatha before it, right? So this could be any letter, but it has a fatha on it. Okay? So we read this as ma'kul. Ma'kul. Hold for 2 counts. Tarmihim. Tarmihim. You're stretching the ya. Tarmihim. 2 counts. And we read this all the time in the Qur'an. Qala. Qala. See, this is alif and mad. So this is mad asli to haraka. So if we were to describe this rule, what we're doing here, if someone were to ask us why you're doing this, and we can say, well, because this is mad asli to haraka, we have to stretch it for 2 beats. Okay, this is our basic mud, where from here it starts. Okay, so this is 2 counts. And then after this, then we build, inshallah, the different types of mud that is there. All right, so let's see if we can give some other examples also in this category, aside from the words we have here. So I'm going to refer back to the Quran here. Let's see if we can find some other. Yeah, there's a lot. Okay, so like, for example, excuse me, when we have the word we have either. So this is alif before there's fatha. We stretch this for 2 beats, 2 counts. Either. Okay, and then let's see where else we have. Okay. And the word in the word غاسق, right? So we have stretched this alif before there's fatha. This is huruf maddiya. We have to stretch this for 2 counts. غاسق, غاسق, 2 counts. All right. Let's see if I can find, yeah, another one we read in Surah Al-Ikhlas. We read this as right. لم يلد ولم يولد. يولد. So this is wow with dhamma on top of it. It's actually the dhamma is not on top of the wow. The dhamma is on top of the yeah, but because the sound is you and then there's wow here, so we stretch this for 2 beats. This becomes mad asli or mad tabi'i. So we stretch this for 2 counts, and we read it as yulad walam yulad. Okay. Let's see. We already give the example for the dinukum, which is for the ya with the kasra before it. I'm trying to find another one here. The ya before it kasra for our, for the ya example. Sorry, I apologize. I know I already give the example of tarmihim. That's also is there. I was just trying to find another one so that I can pick here from the Quran. Sometimes you have to have these, highlighted in advance, but sometimes I just like to look at them directly as we're going through the lesson and see if we can spot them, inshallah. Okay. All right. Also, in the example, we read this the beginning of each surah. Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahim. Okay. So when we recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so we have, again, we have the kasra here, and then here's our ya, and we stretch this again 2 counts, right? Ar-Rahim, ar-Rahim, غاسق, غاسق, إذا يولد, يولد, مأكول, مأكول, ترميهم, ترميهم, قال. So these are all huruf maddiya, and we're stretching all of them 2 counts or 2 beats. Okay. All right, inshallah. I think this was the basic mud. Was obviously this basic is pretty simple, and excuse me, it deals with those 3 letters, alif, waw, and ya. So just know those letters and keep that in mind, because when we come across those, we need to know what we have to do. Okay. All right, inshallah, I think we will stop this video here. And then on the next video, we're going to start working on the next mad, which is mad al-badal. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.